Hello, I'm Gaggle, and welcome back to the Understanding Champions series, the series where we break down the ins and outs of every champion in League of Legends. This episode, we're going to be covering Vladimir the Crimson Reaper. Now, Vladimir is a mage-type champion, typically played in the mid and top roles. So let's get a look at his kit, and then we'll talk about his uses, go on to builds, and closing thoughts. Let's get into it. So his passive is that he gets extra health based on his bonus ability power and extra AP based on his bonus health. They do not compound with each other, but this is basically just a little bit of extra free stats. His Q, Transfusion, is a point-and-click magic damage ability, single target magic ability that gives some healing. And at 2 uses of this spell, it gets 85% increased damage and heals for an additional chunk of HP. This gives him a lot of harass and a lot of healing in lane, meaning he is very safe and also can put out lots of burst damage. So when you see him, both his Qs charge up, you should back off a little bit, play back, wait for it to stack off. You'll notice it by a red bar underneath his HP bar, as Vladimir is a mage that does not have any mana, which is one of the reasons he is such a powerful mage. Now his W is Sanguine Pool. It basically makes him untargetable, and so you can't CC him, you can't do anything. It basically makes him untargetable, and he gets some move speed, and he gets a little bit of healing for anyone he damages in the pool. This is mainly used as a get out of jail free card, and is one of the reasons he is such a safe champion, which lets him scale up and hit his power spikes. And his E, Tides of Blood, is a charge ability that does an AoE around him, that does magic damage, has a little bit of slow, and cannot hit multiple times, despite the fact that it throws out, like, it looks like a circle, but it's technically like tiny bolt skill shots that fire off in all directions. So whenever you use this in a minion wave, you want to use this to clear minion waves. You can use this as extra harass in lane, but he is slowed when he uses it, so generally you do not want to use this if you're getting hard engaged on, unless you know you can just instantly turn around and kill them. And his ultimate is what makes him such a powerful team fighter and the terror that he is late game. Hemoplague. It inflicts all enemies in the area with basically a debuff that makes them take 10% extra damage for 4 seconds, and then after those 4 seconds they take a burst of magic damage, and he gets some very high healing based off how much damage he does. So you throw this in the middle of a team fight, all your team does 10% extra damage, they're going to burst, they're going to pop for a large amount of damage after the 4 seconds, and you're going to get a ton of healing back, making you even harder to kill with the healing from your Q that is already in your kit, as well as the untargetability of your W. So all in all, Vlad is a scaling team fighter. He has a lot of tools to make him very powerful at bursting targets, and also he has very good AoE inside of his Tides of Blood and his Hemoplague that allows him to do tons of damage and just be an absolute terror in team fights. A 2 or 3 item Vlad is an absolute monster and is one of the scariest things in a team fight in League of Legends. Some notes is, due to the fact that he doesn't have mana, this means he can itemize kind of uniquely for a mage style champion, and it also means that he is not reliant on stuff like blue buff, although since you have very long cooldowns on your Sanguine Pool and on your pretty decent cooldown on your Hemoplague, this is a champion that takes tons, that wants CDR. You generally will even rush 40% CDR on this champion almost, in order to be able to do tons in team fights. This is a champion very much so where you're trying to get to that, reach your level 11, your level 2 power spike on your ultimate, and then just team fight, blow up the enemy team, take objectives, take towers, take the game. So let's get into the standard rune setup and build path for that. So standard runes, we have Phase Rush. This just allows you to stick on people and keep doing damage. We also have Nimbus Cloak, which is a similar idea. Once you pop your ult, gives you tons of move speed, lets you keep running at people, keep throwing Qs at them, keep hitting them with your E. And then you have Transcendence, because like I said earlier, he is very important on this champion. CDR is super important on this champion, and is because he has such a impactful ultimate and powerful W. You want to get as much CDR as you can, so his Transcendence is great. And then Gathering Storm, because he is a scaling team fighter, so having the, the extra 1500 or 1250 in stats at 30 minutes is very potent for him. And then for his secondaries, he'll typically take Footwear or Stopwatch, depending on matchup. Now, he does have Sanguine Pool, so generally Footwear is a better option because he can use this to dodge. This is basically a stopwatch on an ability, but sometimes you want to, sometimes stuff happens, so stopwatch is fine. And since you will be itemizing into Zhonya's at some point, you'll have the component for that. And then Cosmic Insight, just for the 5% extra ultimate CDR and the 5% and some item CDR, which is good for what he typically builds. And then I want to mention the minor runes here because this is something that is quite unique to Vlad. He generally takes scaling CDR in his first rune in order to, through his specific itemization, be able to still build Sork Pen boots instead of having to take Ionian boots like he has done in the past, typically. So this is kind of the newer adaptation for Vlad. And then you want AP and then Armor MR, depending on what you're fighting against. And then for standard build, Proto Belt. Generally, people will even rush a Fiendish Codex before Proto Belt, just for the AP and for the 10% CDR, and then they'll pick up the Kindle Gem from Proto Belt for 10 more CDR, and then finish the Proto Belt, and then we'll typically pick up a Spellbinder second, as he has tons of spells to stack it up with, and because he does not consume mana, it is very easy for him to stack up with. And since he is a teamfight terror and you just want that burst of AP for whenever you drop your Hemoplague and use your Tides of Blood and your Q inside of teamfights, as well as using it to help you get even more move speed with your Nimbus Cloak to be able to stick on people, to make sure you get Tides of Blood off on as many people as possible, is just a great option. It's also very cheap for the amount of AP it gives. And then third, you want to go Deathcap or Zhonya's. Zhonya's if you need the defense. And you already have the Fiendish Codex from earlier, so if you maybe need the inventory space for some reason, you could consider finishing the Zhonya's. Or just going right into the raw Deathcap, as Spellbinder being such a AP efficient item to how much it gives. Building a Deathcap plus a Spellbinder is a butt ton of AP. You will just absolutely destroy people. You will melt them once you finish 3 items. So all in all, that is Vladimir, the Crimson Reaper. He is a very powerful teamfight option that is available in the mid and top lane, and can be played, unlike other powerful teamfight mages or people who are scaling scary threats such as a Gangplank or maybe even like an Orianna, can be very easily played into assassins, with his W being able to make him untargetable. Can also be played into fighters pretty well. And as Vladimir, you're basically going to force half the enemy team at least to have to build a Grievous Wounds for you, or else you're just never going to take any damage and just going to absolutely destroy their entire team. So I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you look forward to more of these videos. Have a great day.